Instead of doing conceptual language traps or prototype theory traps or featureless traps when coming up with your vision, what you're trying to do is capture the experience the player has and the experience that will be engaging to them. So the things you want to aim for with your vision is, what is the experience? What is the engaging experience you are creating for players? Some people call it find the fun. That fine. Some people really like that framing. For me, it's find what is engaging about your game. Why would someone play it? What motivates them to play it? And I came up with some examples. Look, these aren't perfect. This isn't my forte, but they might give you an idea. So imagine these 3 different frames on what a vision could look like that might be more useful. It doesn't necessarily fall into the conceptual language trap. It's not falling into the prototype theory trap, and it's not falling into the featureless trap. So we are creating a VR casino where players who enjoy casino games but don't want to spend money can get that Vegas feel from home. Okay, that might help align people. That might help people understand where they're trying to go. Does it answer every question about the game? No, absolutely not. But it may give that broad frame, the North Star that we're targeting. Another one, our game is a terrifying story with a grim ending that gives the player as protagonist the experience and feeling of being hunted without any way to stop their pursuer. Again, there may be a few different games that fall into this broad vision, but if I had added some other things around it, you could start seeing, okay, this is what makes this game unique. And you can see what motivates a player, what type of player might be engaged by this. Why would they find it entertaining? It's okay if your vision is similar to some other games, as long, again, as it helps you differentiate from everything else out there, because now we can actually start talking to and comparing, like, okay, what other little things we can get into the detail of it. And then thirdly, a goofy, cartoonish, and chaotic experience where short minigame interactions between friends become the basis for stories they laugh about later. Great, I can see what is motivating the player to engage with this. What are they roughly doing? That one goes into a little bit of like, hey, there's some feature callouts in there, like we're going to have mini games and things like that. But broadly, this, I wouldn't be offended by this as a vision. The other thing that I'll call out, kind of just hinted at it. When you're thinking about a vision, it doesn't answer every question. It does cause conversation, keeps people moving in the right direction and talking to each other about what it is we're trying to do. You might also include things like pillars or specific goals for the game. Whenever you do that, I recommend you prioritize things against each other. So if you have a set of goals, and goals for me might be major things you either want as part of the player experience or that are core to your game being successful in some way, they should align to the overall vision and help people understand what's most important to be doing. Prioritize them against each other. So if you have different elements of your game that you think are really important, like different loops, what loop is most important? What loop do we need to test first and learn about and make sure is true and good before we feel like we can proceed? Maybe that's our first goal. Maybe that's the first thing we should target. Pillars are a little bit different from goals. I think they're what's most important about your game. They too help people understand what matters most. So if you're making a story-driven game, you might say that, hey, one of the most important pillars we have is thematic cohesion. And after that, visual fidelity. We want to immerse people in the world. In fact, rather than visual fidelity, maybe we even say something like immersive visuals. So I want thematic cohesion and immersive visuals. Those are really, really important. And in fact, those are more important than performance for our game because this is a story-driven game. That's valuable for the team to know. That's valuable for the engineers to know, the artists to know. It allows them to make different choices than, let's say, they were making a more competitive game where gameplay clarity or performance or skill expression might be the most important things that they're targeting. And we're willing to sacrifice the quality of the story or the quality of the visuals in order to make sure that this fast-paced game hits that competitive vibe we're going for and the experience we're attempting to create. Prioritize these. If you prioritize them, it helps people make decisions. It doesn't answer every question, but it causes, again, the right conversations to happen. And a theme throughout this whole thing, we're trying to cause people who are thinking about making the best game we can make have conversations with each other. Having a vision is one of the most important things you can do to avoid wasted effort. And regardless of whether you're part of a larger org or a scrappy indie studio, waste is a serious problem. It's a serious problem everywhere I've ever seen. It's so easy to be building things that don't matter. Visions can and will change over time, and that's okay. Both the overall statement, if you have a 1 or 2 sentence, like this is my high-level vision, the goals, the pillars, anything else that you associate with this, even the 3 C's, the controls, the camera, the character. Some of these things might shift subtly over time as we learn and figure things out. That is okay. And I think this is actually one of the reasons people avoid the vision when they're asked, like, what is this game, though? Make a vision, maybe I overconstrain myself. Don't worry about that. You want the vision, even if it's wrong, because it'll drive the right conversations and help you realize what's right. You want to know what the why of your game is. The conversations that emerge are what matter. If you don't have one, you're asking for a lot of trouble, and it will lead to no shortage of problems, one of the biggest one being waste. Couple final notes on vision. Remember to think not just about the game you are making and what's important about building it, but also thinking about the business side of things. I see some studios actually do a pretty good job crafting a vision, but they don't know how they're going to get that thing to market. And you want to be thinking, how do we market this? How do we connect it to players before they've ever played the game? If you want to have a successful game, it is worth thinking about the objectives you have from both the creative and the business side. You must have these two visions, and they may look different, but they should align. If your game is a competitive shooter, for example, don't talk only about the story and advertise it or market it as if it's some sort of big open world fun single-player experience. I've seen that happen. The type of game you are making will impact things like players you want playtesting and how often playtests occur, as well as how you frame your community, and where and if you sell ads, the type of publisher you want to partner with, and what players actually are going to matter to you. Vision is the cornerstone. It's abstract and easy to skip, but if you can keep people aligned to the vision, you will dramatically increase your odds of producing a coherent game that can succeed. If you want to know more about vision, there's some podcasts I've done with Graham McAllister. He's probably the foremost thinker in this space. He's actually done literal academic research on the topic, so I'll have some links to some of his content in the show notes below. So that's the first thing. We want some type of vision deck, a description of the game that is at the player level, that talks about the experience, that helps us understand what it is we're trying to build together. This is so important because it helps us have the right conversations and drive together towards the same goal. Does this sound familiar? You're in a leadership role at a game studio. Everyone is busy working. No one has any time. But the actual game itself isn't in a good spot. Maybe it's the tech. Maybe it's the lack of a validated prototype. Maybe it's that every person seems to have a different idea about what we're trying to build. But you've got a job. There are reports to send, meetings to schedule and facilitate, the occasional season of performance reviews to go through. And everyone is always so busy. When you step back, it makes you wonder if everyone is just going to keep slowly walking towards the abyss until the project or game fails. Is this what it means to be a leader in games? In tech? To endlessly repeat the same sequence of meetings without really moving the needle? To spend hours trying to get Jira tickets and dashboards where they should be? To pretend that everything is fine when you know deep down it really isn't? It doesn't have to be this way. You can make a difference. You can help your team and game succeed, but sometimes you need a bit of help to get there. I've started a game dev leadership accelerator. It aims to level up leaders who see opportunities to make a difference but don't know how to capitalize on them. We'll walk through what it means to lead well and give you tools to understand your organization's challenges and implement changes to overcome them. Game dev is hard. Knowing how to lead will give you an edge. It will still be hard, but you'll be ready to tackle it. If you're interested, let me know below. Hit the link. I hope to see you in the accelerator because I believe better leaders will help teams make better games, and I look forward to someday playing what you create.